That's an open question. The origin of the Hyksos, the identity of the Hyksos. Who were these guys? So the Hyksos conquered Egypt around 1650 BC, somewhere around that time. Around 1650 BC. And they ruled Egypt for about a century or so. The 15th dynasty in Egyptian history. Those were the Hyksos. So these were people. Okay, let's take a look at the map because that will help us understand what we are talking about. Okay, I hope we all know where Egypt is. So here is Egypt, the present day modern nation state of Egypt. And as you can see, it is attached physically, geographically to Asia, to what is called Western Asia. So the invasion of Egypt by these foreigners, the Hyksos, happened from the northwest. The northwest is present day, it's Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, all of that. And as we know, around 1500 BC, there were Indianized kingdoms and empires in Anatolia and present day Syria. We know about the Mitanni, we know about the Hittites. These were all Indian origin rulers. These kingdoms, the majority of the people in the kingdom were of local origin, but the aristocracy, the ruling class, was Indian. They spoke Sanskrit, and there is unambiguous, unmistakable, undeniable evidence of that. And this happened just a little while after the conquest of Egypt by the Hyksos. So there is a possibility that there was a connection between the Indianized kingdoms over here and the Hyksos who conquered Egypt and ruled for a century. So what were the Hyksos like? Let's take a look at what the Hyksos looked like from Egyptian depictions of these foreigners. So here is one example of how the Egyptians saw the Hyksos. So if we look to the west of the image, to the right of the image, right, all the way right, you will see a couple of Egyptians who are wearing loincloths or whatever it is, and they are bare-chested. So the two gentlemen on the extreme right of the image are Egyptians, and the people on the left are all foreigners or Hyksos. So you can see that the Hyksos are depicted as having light brown skin. The Egyptians are depicted as having dark brown skin. And the dress that the Hyksos wear is different. Some of the Hyksos are bare-chested. Some of them wear these robe-like outfits. The Hyksos ladies they wear these full body robes with arms left bare, and so on. And they have these animals. You can see mules or donkeys. There are children on one donkey. There are weapons and implements over here. There is a double curved bow that one of these gentlemen is carrying, the one on the extreme left, and he has a quiver full of arrows as well, and so on. And there are some of them who have spears, and some of them have these curved swords, and they have other animals as well. So this seems to depict these Hyksos invaders and eventual rulers of Egypt. So these guys, the Hyksos, they introduced lots of new things to Egypt. They introduced horses into Egypt. They introduced chariots into Egypt. These were horse riders, and they engaged in chariot warfare. Very interesting. They had spoked wheels. They introduced new weapons into Egypt, like those curved swords. They introduced bronze technology, copper technology, or bronze, one of these two, into Egypt. They introduced new musical instruments and such like. And their religion or culture was polytheistic in nature. Their greatest god was a god of rain and thunder and storms. So the Western historians, and the consensus is that this god is identified with the Mesopotamian storm god Baal, Baal, Baal. But it could also remind you of another god, the Indo-European god, which has different names. Indra in the oldest version, and then obviously Jupiter, Zeus, Thor, etc. Same god, Thunderbolt, and the hammer. So it could, the circumstantial evidence, such as the composite double curved bow, the horse riding, the chariots, the thunder god, all of that is the circumstantial evidence does indeed point to possibly a Vedic origin of these guys. But we still don't have clear, unambiguous evidence. If you can find some skeletons of these gentlemen who are buried uh, and do some DNA analysis that could give some throw more light. Maybe if you could compare that with Mithani genetics, if any of that is available, and obviously with Indian genetics. Obviously, we would need to do more genetic research in India as well. So, right now, we are not quite sure. We're not quite sure right now. It is definitely possible that there could be an Indian origin or a Hittite Mitanni kind of origin of these Hyksos, even though the Hittites and Mitanni kind of come later. But it could be possibly the same people, but we're not quite sure. Needs to be investigated further by historians, geneticists, scientists, etc. Maybe in 10, 20 years, we will have a much better picture.